Hello, welcome once again to Lehto's Law. I'm Steve Lehto. A couple days ago, I did a video about how the old wives' tale that says you got to go register your hands with the police if you get a black belt in karate, how that's just an old joke or an old story, but for some odd reason, some people believe it to be true. And I had a few people in response to my video say, but Steve, it's true in Guam. Which one of those statements? It's like I got a girlfriend in Canada too. It's true in Guam. Turns out it is. Turns out it is. And this just goes to show you that anything is possible in this world. And when idiots pass laws, you can get idiotic laws. So all I can tell you is apparently in Guam, there are idiots in charge. So in case you don't know, Guam is an island in the Pacific. It is a territory of the U.S. in Micronesia. Never been there. It's way off the West Coast, but they have silly laws there. So what I'm talking about, and again, I thank all the people who sent it to me because it turns out it's a statute you can look up. I'll put the link in the description. Chapter 62 of the Guam Health and Safety Code says that any person who is an expert in the art of karate or judo or any similar physical A-R-E, typo, in the first sentence of the law, or any similar physical R in which the hands and feet are used as deadly weapons, is required to register with the Department of Revenue and Taxation. So you're not registering with the police or law enforcement, you're registering with the people who tax you. It's like the IRS. This chapter shall not apply to duly authorized and appointed peace and law enforcement officers, nor to members of the armed forces of the United States. If you're in the armed forces of another nation, however, it applies to you. The Department of Revenue and Taxation shall register each karate or judo expert who applies therefore, and shall keep a roster of such experts. On issuance of the registration certificate by the Department of Revenue and Taxation, the applicant shall bring such certificate to the License Division of the Department of Revenue and Taxation, which shall bill the applicant for the required fee. On payment of the required fee to the Treasurer of Guam, the Treasurer shall receipt therefore on the face of the registration certificate and return such certificate to the applicant. The registration certificate with the receipt of the Treasurer marked on the face therefore shall constitute evidence of registration. The fee for registration is $5 US, because in Guam they use our money. Not our logic or our common sense, but they use our money. Definition of karate or judo expert. A karate or judo expert required to register by the provisions of this chapter shall be a person trained in the arts of karate, judo, or other hand-to-hand fighting technique whereby the hands, feet, or other parts of the body are used as weapons. Now, elsewhere, it said deadly weapons. Again, we have very imprecise statutory drafting here. So in the first part, it says deadly weapons. Here it just simply says weapons. Who shall have completed at least one level of training therein, and shall have been issued a belt or other symbol showing proficiency in such art. So here's the problem. One level of training, most people would say, well, that means that you've gone from one level to the next, right? And in most martial arts, you start with a white belt, and the first level is a yellow belt. A yellow belt is still a novice in every meaning of that word and does not have any proficiency to use their hands or other parts of their body as deadly weapons. So this is nonsensical. But worse, it goes, or other symbol showing proficiency. Well, a yellow belt doesn't show any proficiency at all other than the fact you learned one form, basically. And you can probably, if I ask you to throw a certain kick or throw a certain punch, do something that kind of resembles what I'm asking you to do. But nobody would ever look at a yellow belt who's not wearing a uniform and say, oh, that person's an expert. Look at that expertly thrown middle punch. Look at that expertly thrown roundhouse kick. They look at it and go, the heck is that? Or other symbols showing proficiency. How do you define proficiency? Proficiency? Penalty. Any person required by this chapter to register who fails to do so, or who registers but fails to pay the fee, is guilty of a misdemeanor. Okay, and hang on a second. Any registered karate or judo expert who thereafter is charged with having used his art in a physical assault on some other person shall upon conviction thereof be deemed guilty of aggravated assault. Aggravated assault. Okay, so the interesting thing about this, and there's several, first of all, is that a person who fails to register is guilty of a misdemeanor. That means that any martial arts person who has more than a white belt ever in their entire life, apparently, once you get off the plane or off the boat in Guam, you got to go straight to the tax office and pay your $5 and say, I'm a martial artist. My hands and feet are killing machines. My elbows, the crook of my elbow, because I could strangle you with a chokehold, rear naked choke. So the moment you set foot on Guam soil, your first stop as a martial arts person is to go straight and register yourself, because until you do, you are committing a misdemeanor. So again, any person required by this chapter to register who fails to do so, or who registers but fails to pay the fee, shall be guilty of a misdemeanor. So again, it's been a few years since I worked out with an instructor. I've mentioned before I've got a second-degree black belt, and I can show it to you, and I've showed it in previous videos. And I can also still do a lot of the stuff I used to be able to do. I'm not as flexible as I was when I was a young man. But the point is that I actually have in my wallet the little card I got when I was granted my second-degree black belt. It's something I have. I carry it with me. It doesn't do anything. It's not like I can use it for admission to Chuck E. Cheese or get a free sub or anything. I just have it in my wallet. And I've had people say to me, like, "Oh yeah, I'm a black belt." And I go, "And what?" And they tell me something they're a black belt. And I go, "Really? Do you have like a license for that?" And they go, "No, that's an old wives' tale." I go, "No, I'm not talking about the license that you get from the police. I'm talking about the little card they give you. Most schools would give you a card of some sort to indicate that you've gotten something." And I have one. And I go, "You didn't get one of these?" And I show it to them. And they're like, and suddenly they realize that they've been caught in the dumbest of lies. But the point is that there is, in fact, something you get. And I actually have a certificate. It looks a lot like the certificate I got for passing the bar. I have a certificate that says, Steve Lehto, as a result of his studies with this master, and having been tested and found proficient, is hereby granted the degree of, first Dan black belt, DAN, which means degree in Korean. And then I have one that says second Dan black belt. It's got my little picture on it. It's got a stamp on it. Got a bunch of stuff in Korean, which I hope says what I think it says. And it's suitable for framing. Haven't framed it, but I've got it. I've got one for first. I got one for second. So when I meet somebody who says, "Oh, I've got a black belt," and I say, "Really? Can I see the belt?" And a lot of people go, "No, they think it's more of a symbolic thing." I go, "But you should actually have a black belt if you say I have a black belt. It's not like saying I've got rights or something. It's a physical, tangible object that you should be able to show somebody. Yeah, I have a black belt." So that's one thing, but then again, it usually does come with some form of certificate or certification or something like that. But the point is that I haven't done that, worked out in a studio for a while. But the idea that if I go to Guam, the second I set foot on Guam soil, I'm committing a misdemeanor unless I go immediately to the taxation office and register myself and pay $5. $5. And it's a stupid law. It's poorly written. Like I said, there's a typographical error in the first complete sentence. If you are familiar with karate, judo, or any similar physical art, and again, we could be talking about pirate martial arts, but I don't think we are. So again, in the U.S. island territory in Micronesia called Guam, it turns out you actually do have to register your hands and feet and everything else. You're registering yourself as a martial artist, but not with law enforcement, but you're doing it with the taxing authorities so they can get their $5 from you. Is this the dumbest law I've ever heard of? It depends. How do you gauge laws? This one is stupid, but it doesn't affect many people. I'm never going to Guam. I would suggest that the law in California saying you can't work on your own car in your own driveway in Sacramento County is an extremely stupid law. But then again, I had people telling me the arguments that they thought were in favor of that. So, we can go back and forth on this all day long, but I would suggest to you today that the people of Guam need to work on passing better laws, spell checking the ones they do pass, and then asking themselves, what effect is this going to have? Because, like I said, right now, I'm not saying I was planning on going to Guam, but I can see people saying, well, if I go to Guam, do I really have to spend the first hour I'm there? And that's assuming that their tax and revenue office is efficient. Can you imagine if I said the first thing you have to do when you come to Michigan is go to our Secretary of State's office and get something? Get yourself to the counter and simply interact with the person behind the counter and get something that you're legally required to get. I can tell you, if you've never been here, that if you go on the wrong day, you cannot do it. It can't be done. Because literally, literally, the lines to get in and the length of time to process through the line might exceed the length of time that that office is open. And you might say, Steve, that's a conundrum, because that means that you can't actually transact the business you need to transact. And people will say, yes, but those of us who are in the know will tell you that you can find offices that are kind of out in the middle of nowhere, and you spend a half the day driving to get there, but you get in and out quickly. That's what I do. There are also Secretary of State's offices where you can make an appointment. You just can't make one today. You can make an appointment a week from now. So again, if you go to Guam, I don't know how fast these offices operate, and I can't imagine there's a long line at the Department of Revenue and Taxation to get your hands and feet registered as weapons under their tax code. But, again, like I said, a layer of bureaucracy to be dealt with upon landing in a new place you're visiting is not attractive to tourism. So again, the stupid law does exist in Guam. And as a result of that, we can no longer say it's never true. We can simply say it's not true in the 50 United States of America. Questions or comments, put them below. Otherwise, talk to you later.